Hello and welcome to the 1984 podcast. This is episode 1 with Devin Carruthers, Jacob Dye, and Christopher Hartman. Today we will be discussing main topics from the book 1984, such as the 2 Minutes Hate, telescreens, and Big Brother characterization, along with newspeak and controlling matters of the party. Now, would anyone would like to begin the conversation?
I would actually. I'd like to talk about something dear to my heart. When I read it, I just found it very interesting. 2 Minutes Hate would be that. 2 Minutes Hate is, well, basically it's when the government of 1984, the dystopian government, gets like all the population into one like theater kind of area and shows them like a screen where they all like are forced to view like this. I guess it would be like someone that they don't disagree with like politically. His name's Goldstein, but he's like a part of the rebellion for the 1984 government. So like they all have, and it just makes them really angry. And so like I guess it's like a tactic the government uses to keep their citizens angry, and like they only encourage anger within the population.
And if we continue stuttering, then you're going to be hating a little bit more than 2 minutes.
Good one, Devin.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask you guys a quick question about 2 Minutes Hate. Just a little question that just to like get the brain juices going.
The brain juices?
So like, if you guys were herded into a little theater, every day, 2 minutes out of your day, just gone.
Yeah.
And you had to listen to this. Well, in our case, it wouldn't be Goldstein, it'd be someone that we disagree with politically. Do you think it would also result in you guys being like really angry?
Depends on the time of day. If it were in the very beginning, I feel like I'd be too tired to care.
And it would depend on the person too.
Yeah.
That is true. Like, if it's just like somebody from a different political party, then I'm not really going to care. I'm not entirely too much into politics when it comes to individual people.
See, but also in 1984, they make you care about this.
They do make you care, but that's after training. If we're applying the same ideal to the real world, then would that mean that we're already trained as people underneath the party, or are we just applying that to how we feel right now?
I feel like we already train ourselves to like really care about stuff like politics. So no matter what, if they had the screens yelling at us the things that we completely disagree with, I feel like, in my opinion, we would probably maybe not result to bashing each other's heads in.
Yeah, I don't think we would get nowhere near.
But I mean, I'd have a sour. It'd make me sour. It'd make me a little salty. I wouldn't like it.
Depending on the person, it would also definitely make me sour, but they'd have to do some relatively heinous stuff in order for me to truly get into that 2 minutes hate feeling from the book.
Well, for the sake of time, let's move on to our next topic, which would be newspeak.
And newspeak is the new language that the party has created in 1984 to help reduce the vocabulary of all the citizens and try and make it all the same.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the main questions is, why do they want this reduction in vocabulary for the citizens?
Now, this is a very difficult, but definitely important to understand topic. When it comes to vocabulary, it seems like we, even in the real world, lose some of it within each passing year. The further we get down the generations, the more we start losing certain words or they get replaced. So this could technically be a certain scenario in the future. So this is definitely important to go ahead and talk about.
Mm-hmm. See, I think that the main thing about the vocabulary being like dystopian and stuff, I think that one of the main ways that we express ourselves as people is the choice of words that we have, and like the way that we like want to uniquely say what's on our mind. But the moment that you take that away, we all become like numbers basically in the population. We just inseparable from each other. Like you can't even distinguish what's different between me and Jacob. when I say stuff like dude and he says stuff like bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like,
Yeah, you lose rather certain ways of speech, like pronunciation.
yeah. I'd
And
say
that
so.
also allows a harder understanding of how to apply your opinions to a topic you want to discuss. Like, if we were talking newspeak right now, it'd be hard to cover all these points because such a limited vocabulary that it's hard to cover everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I have another question actually about this topic. It's a good one. It's a good question. So
Very good.
Okay.
prepare yourself.
This
So
is very important. Get ready.
the idea of newspeak, when we talk about it like that, it seems pretty sucky. It seems like I would hate that, right? But do you think that just at a base level, like the idea of it, the concept, if it was pretty, like, if someone told you that, like someone that you liked and you respected a lot, do you think you would immediately still think that this is dystopian? Do you think it would still be bad? Or would you think, that's a good idea, maybe we'd be able to more accurately express what's on our mind and stuff like that? But
If somebody gave me the option of choosing newspeak or choosing the current language,
and also this person is someone that you respect.
well, I mean, it is somebody that I respect. However, even if it is someone I respect, the first thing I would think of when it comes to newspeak is JavaScript, and JavaScript is complicated enough as it is. I do not want to use newspeak.
Well, I feel like
Yeah,
newspeak is also oversimplified.
It's oversimplified, but it's also strange. Like
It's
when you
time.
when you compare it to our common literature, it actually does share more in simplicity when it comes to JavaScript, because JavaScript is really just a bunch of commands and you follow it down a line. That's all it is. So in a way, newspeak is more similar because it's still those condensed words with improper punctuation.
I see.
Just oversimplified, but it still gets the kind of code done.
I would still be against it. It's way too simplified.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like it.
Sorry to whoever I respect, but I don't respect someone that much. Except me.
And probably for maybe our last topic of the day,
Of course.
telescreens. This one I actually have a little, I did a little research this time, guys.
Really?
and
Really? That's a first.
I have a, thank you.
Chris?
I looked at something. It was something, that's the wrong one.
Congrats.
It was about Alexa,
So
actually.
research.
So first, let me tell you about the telescreens. You probably can guess by me saying Alexa. It's a screen that basically watches you, and like it's just like always keeping an eye on you, making sure you don't do anything that's against the law. Because it's just there's not a moment where you're not like watched. Yeah, I would say.
Isn't
monitored.
typically Alexa a two-way speaker, not really a screen?
Well,
Yeah.
it's a connection. It's not perfect. We don't have telescreens, but a quote that I was just randomly reading this article, and a quote that I saw. What a quote? Yes, that I thought was interesting is Alexa. It talking about Alexa. It knows what music you listen to, what you put on your shopping list, what's smart, and even like it can tell, like with like your voice when you're home. So it's strangely dystopian. It's like, it was an article by the New York Times by a guy named Grant, and he was just saying that that basically they know a lot more than you think that they know, which is a little dangerously close.
Kind of reminds me of Google in a way.
Yeah,
could see
the
that.
Google Home things.
Oh,
Anyone-
Google Home and just like your phone or anything that uses Google. Like, whenever you're discussing something with a friend and you're not even close to anything like Alexa or Google Home, and all of a sudden that thing you were discussing appears
On your phone. as
on
an
your phone.
ad.
Yeah.
Like
Telescreens.
Telescreens, I'm telling you.
And maybe to wrap up this episode, does anyone have a question they're itching to ask about the telescreens? Maybe you, Jacob. Maybe you, Devin.
Now, in the book 1984, the food rations are given out to the people by the government itself, along with clothes and such commodities as this basic living necessities, along with things like gin and cigarettes. So,
Basic living necessities. You need it.
Yeah.
I now want to provide the very important question. How do you believe the party chocolate tastes?
I would say it tastes like dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From
I
a
mean,
from a dystopian government,
Which is
if
bad.
they
Dark
are just
chocolate sucks.
distributing chocolate to people that they basically hate. I mean, I don't think the government really likes their people. I would assume that it's pretty bad. I'd say it's probably like chalky in your mouth, leaves a gross coating and aftertaste.
no, I agree that would most likely have something that would make it chalky because they're trying to cut it with something to expand how much chocolate they have. But I'd like to discuss on your opinion of dark chocolate, Jacob.
Go ahead.
How could you think that dark chocolate is bad? Like, it's just worse than things like milk chocolate, which is just dark chocolate watered down.
Now,
But better.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
before we go on to a 20-minute podcast episode, that was all the time we have for today. Make sure to catch us later on episode 2 of the 1984
I'm discussing
podcast.
this. I'm bringing this up in
We'll talk
episode.
about it later.
No,
See
no,
ya.
no.
Yes.